You must love podcasts if you're listening to this. Do you want to start your own one or you already have one? Then follow Smarter Podcasting to get expert advice from me, Neil Mackay, the podcast guy. Since 2019, we've worked with over 40 podcasters, produced over 700 episodes, and helped many podcasts get to the top of the Apple Podcast charts. And right now, I'm offering you a professional edit for just $27. Click the link in the show notes.
I don't want to beauty whoever was Tue-Si back in 2017, 2018. There is like, I've hurt people. I've deeply hurt people. I've deeply used people, and I've deeply used myself, and I deeply unloved myself.
Welcome to season 10 of a Vietnam podcast. I'm your host, Neil Mackay. I came to Vietnam for a holiday all the way back in 2015 and absolutely fell in love with the place. Couldn't wait to come back. Came back in 2016 for about 2 months just to learn how to teach English, then was going to go on my merry way with my wife, and we decided to stay for a year. A year became 2, 2 became 4, and 4 became 8. And it'll be a decade before I know it. During that time, I started a Vietnam podcast, and I got to meet some amazing and interesting people. And one of those people I met back in 2022, which doesn't seem that long ago, but actually is a lifetime ago. It was mid-pandemic. And as we were just talking before we started recording, he's now known as the Crystal Meth guy. Which I don't know if that's from our podcast or not, but I was very privileged. I believe that was the first time you'd shared your story. That my guest today is Tue-Si Nguyen. Thank you very much for joining me again.
Thanks for having me again. Long story short, someone offered me crystal meth at a party, and I was like, fuck this, I'm going to be that drug addict. And so when I got offered crystal meth again back in Canada, that's when I did it. I think it was in April 2017, and I was hooked. It was just bad. That's the only thing that I can say at this point. It was just bad. But the drug in itself allowed me to express my truth, because it gives you no fear. Like it removes the fear. It's a little bit like cocaine. And then I could be as myself as I wanted to be. But then the problem is I could be as bad as I wanted to be. And then there was this whole side of Tue-Si that was hidden for so many years, because I was living through my insecurities and my fears.
On that last episode, you shared that you'd had a crystal meth addiction.
Back in 2022, I was coming out. I was still recovering, because as an addict from crystal meth addiction, which started in beginning of 2017, daily usage until August 2019, and then the slow path of recovery after that. And I think we met a little bit before that, and then you interviewed me in 2022. And then since then, it's still the same, path of recovery. I think I got the, after your podcast, Mika interviewed me too, I think in 2023, actually. And that's where I got the nickname officially, the Iceman. That's what she gave me, the Iceman, and everybody made fun of me. And then, so the crystal, because ice is crystal meth too. And so I was the Iceman, because I was doing ice baths at that time. Yeah. I had a whole month of everyday ice bath, and I was just, so when I got to her interview, I was like, yeah, ice bath, the Iceman. And so it was it's good. So quick update, I am on my 5th relapse.
I think when I invited you back on, you were like, are we going to talk about how I relapsed? I was like, oh really? You're like, no, it's good.
No, so everything has been good. I've been there was that big path of recovery, obviously. Like the initial work is the hard work. Obviously, when you follow the 12 steps, and then it becomes this. Once you install the right systems and of healing, and I feel like I'm pretty stable. Actually, last year, if we want to talk about a little bit of what happened, is like I had a related to the recovery. There was lingering fears of the damages that I've done to my body. And when I came to Vietnam in 2019, I was so focused on mental health and getting out of the trouble that I put myself in, that I've never really got a health check done. Never, never. And that was like the lingering fear of every drug addict that I know, especially crystal meth and things like this, that, like, you do stupid shit. And then you're like, no, it's not going to happen to me. It's fine. And then like the drug talks to you and whatever. And you're like, I'm not going to get checked and things like this. And so what happened last year is actually I finally got around to do all my health check, and literally every single fear that I had as a drug addict was in my body.
Well, I thought you were going to say the opposite. Like,
No.
it was completely
And it was
clear.
like, it was it. Like, like, oh yeah, you remember that stupid thing that you did? Here is the result. This is in your blood. This is in your body. And I'm like, holy shit. Like, like it was like I'm a little bit spiritual at this point, where it was like, I think I'm mentally, I've, the universe tested my resilience, or gave me all those occasions in the past 5 years to test my mental resilience. And here is the last challenge. Here is you think you're okay. How about like, those things that you never said to anyone about, those deep inner fears that are like fed by your own childhood traumas. Here it is. You're sick. And then so I had this, I had to go through medication and things like this. And I got an allergic reaction. I don't know if I told you this, no? Get an allergic reaction to one of the medicine that was just a cautionary one, just in case you get another thing. And that got me into big, big trouble. And I hope this tale of a drug addict is going to reach people. But like, because I was a drug addict in 2019 and I came to Vietnam with the will to die, I never got an insurance. I never got anything. I was just like, I'm going to go to Vietnam and I'm going to disappear in a big ball of fire. And here I am 5 years down the road, doing much better. And now the universe is testing me with those challenges. And then so I'm here, and I got this allergic reaction that transformed into this blood and skin infection, like septicemia, which is like really bad. And I'm at the American International Hospital the night in the emergency, and just like don't know what's happening. And the guy comes to me and goes like, oh, so we're going to have to put you at the hospital for 5 days because this is like very critical. It's very bad. And the only thing that I looked at him and I was like, wait, the one night was 10 million. So how much? And he comes back after this and was like, oh, with a nice invoice, international hospitals have a really nice invoice. And he goes, that's going to be $5,000. And I was like I just started working. So I started working again, September 2022, where I started working as the COO for a digital marketing agency. And I was like, I can't, man. Like I just got out of my trouble. I'm starting to build funds again. I just cannot. And I'm looking at my girl, and I'm looking at him, and I'm like, I think that's it. I'm going to die for 5,000, or I'm going to have to reach out to family. But I was like so knocked out from the meds and all those things. And I'm like, here it is. Here it is, the moment where like the universe is telling me, you thought you were out of your trouble? Then fuck you. and then so I looked at the doctor. He's like, what other solutions do I have? It's like, well, you can always go to the public hospital here. It's going to be much cheaper, but it's not going to be as comfortable. And literally, so I went to the public hospital for 12 days, and literally everything that you think of a prison jail is what public hospital here is in Vietnam. It's like, and I was in the topical disease section of Chare Hospital because nobody could treat the infection, and they locked the gate. No, they closed the gate and then they lock it with a bike lock. Because so many people runs away, like, and then you're here in a room with like 14 beds, a fan that just keeps on spinning in front of a light 24/7, one toilet for 12 people. And I was like, okay, like, I think there is a lesson there.
And how much did that cost?
It was like $500K per day.
So like $20 US.
$20 US. I think the whole shebang was like with medication, nurse, and all of things. And we had to tip some of the nurse to take care of me a little bit more. My girlfriend was amazing. She stayed with me the whole time. She like appreciated. She has a debt of gratitude from to with my family that is like gigantic at this point. But it was like maybe 40 million, I think we've calculated after all that. And we actually tried to go to a private hospital at some point, but they didn't accept me because nobody could treat my infection. So they sent me back to a public hospital, which was like, it was bad. My resilience last year was very tested, especially here in Vietnam, but like it was humbling, where it was also a reminder that I'm no better than anyone. Like at this point, like, like if at any point my ego was coming back and like I was unfolding the path of the addict, this was a great reminder to go like, hey, humble yourself, man. Like you're no better than anyone. Every fear that you had, every single mistake that you were like, it's not going to happen to me while you're like smoking that crystal meth. No, it's going to happen to you. You should have been careful, or you should have been like mature about which. No, you can't. Anyway, like those are the consequences of your choices. And that's it. Now deal with it. And I'm very happy that since 2019, I've learned what taking responsibility for your actions is. And so I was like, I took it pretty as well as I could while dying on a hospital bed.
Well, I mean, that's absolutely great that you've been able to learn from it, because what else can you do?
Not much, yeah.
You just have to be like, I need to learn from this. I need to take something from it.
Yeah, there's a few things like, when I learned about whatever was happening with my body last year, I was like, I think if I got those news in 2019, where I was mentally with my mental health, I would have given up. And it's funny too, because it's like I like if you watch.
But what would that mean, giving up? Because you didn't have an option, right? You like giving up. Just I'm gonna lie here and die of septicemia.
Yeah. Because that's how I explained rock bottom to like in 2019 when I came to Vietnam. That was my rock bottom, and the way I explain rock bottom is the choice to survive, and so look up and swim up, or just die and just give up. And there was essential things that were happening in my head, or like the expressions of all my traumas that were like, oh, you're not worth it, you're not enough, and like you're just better dead, and things like this. And that's why I came to Vietnam. In a way, it's like, if it's not going to work in Vietnam, then I'm just going to fucking die. But if I learned that like, oh, actually there was actual consequences to those choices, because then I would have been like, yeah, so this is it, I'm worth nothing. But because I've built up this equity of me taking responsibility and doing the right actions for myself, and like, working on my mental health, when I heard the news last year, I knew to reach out to my support system. Fuck, I'm fucked up. Like, this is bad. This is really bad. It's like, I don't know what to do. And people were like, oh, you've been through this before, and you're going to be okay, and things like this. And then I realized, like, I don't want to go too much into details about what's happening within my body, but like, I realized that it didn't take much actually to fix. It wouldn't have taken much to prevent, and it didn't take much to fix. It just took a lot of courage and a lot of like, just a few medicine, a few pills.
I wanted to share with you about one of my favorite affiliate partners, and that is Fiverr. I've been using Fiverr for years for everything from ordering YouTube thumbnails to keyword research, writing podcast articles, even to Canva designs and thumbnails and more. So whether you're a budding entrepreneur, a podcaster, or anyone in between, Fiverr has got you covered. It really is the go-to platform if you want to find freelancers offering a massive range of services to help you on any project. Maybe you need a stunning new logo or just a short animation. Whatever you need, you can find it on Fiverr. What I love the most is how easy Fiverr makes it to connect with talented freelancers from around the world, all at prices that will fit whatever your budget is. Plus, with Fiverr's secure payment system, you can trust that your transactions are safe and secure. No dodgy people you meet on Facebook groups that disappear with your money and never give you what you want. What, that's only happened to me? As an affiliate partner, I will get a small commission if you use the link and at no extra cost to you. As an affiliate partner, I will get a small commission if you click my link and you buy something, all at no extra cost to you. And best of all, you will be directly supporting the making of this podcast that you're listening to for free, but it is not free to make. So why wait? Head over to somewhere that you've probably never been before. It's called the show notes. So whatever app you're listening in, if it's Spotify or Apple Podcasts or anything at all, head to the show notes, click on my special link, and then you can browse thousands of gigs ready to help you with your next project. Well, it's interesting. So you mentioned you didn't have insurance.
I didn't have insurance.
And so I've just recorded an episode. It's already out. Yeah. Go check it out on the Vietnam is Awesome podcast, which is another podcast I make about Vietnam. And I interviewed Shane Dillon from Tenzing Pacific. You may have heard of now. Is an insurance broker here in Vietnam. And the theme of that episode was don't not get insurance.
Do not get insurance.
Don't not get insurance.
Don't not
Don't
yeah,
not
yeah,
get
yeah,
insurance.
yeah, yeah.
It's so vital. It's so crucial. And
Yeah.
that's an example of why
it's a wild
so
example.
important.
It's a very true example. But then I think part of it, and it's so full circle, because like if I had gotten an insurance, I would have had to go through a health check, but I wasn't ready to go through a health check because I knew that I've done so many bad mistakes. When you're a crystal meth drug addict, you do a lot of stupid shit. When you're a drug addict, you do a lot of stupid shit, and even alcoholic or whatever. And so I was like, I wasn't ready to have one. And then literally when I came, I was so outside of the society. I didn't have a bank account. Hashtag secret. I still don't have a bank account. I just have like a French bank account, but I didn't have a bank account because I was a permanent resident of Canada, and then I lost that through COVID. And then so I was the man of no country, really. I'm still not a resident of any type of country, like, because I spent exactly 6 months here, and then I have to leave, and then I don't have a, like, so I'm floating like a true drug addict in this ether of like, I don't know how to explain that, but so yeah, the insurance was like, last year I was like, oh shit, I should have taken an insurance, but I didn't see any other move for me to do before that. That didn't require for me to do a health check. And then the reason why I did a health check is because I wanted to get back into society. I have a job now. I was like, I was 6 months into the job. Everything is going good. I have a salary and whatever. I should go and get like, a bank account and all those things, and really like stabilize myself and being happy and proud for the work that I've done, and get back into society like fully. And I go get my
Become
health
a
check.
grown up.
My answer is like, no, you're still fucked up.
Oh, but it's all going well now.
It's all going well. Like, yeah, like a lot of the fears, like a lot of the problems health problems that I had was very much based on fear, social fear and social judgment. But then it's once you're known as the Iceman or the crystal meth guy, it's like, it's fine. I'm always going to be, and it was a humbling moment of like, hey, remember, you're no better than anyone. Like, just stay like that. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for sharing your story in 2022. I think I did tell you this for a long time. That was the #1 episode ever on a Vietnam podcast. It has been overtaken now. But
yeah.
at the time, and for a long time, it was the #1 episode.
Yeah.
Obviously, people connected with it. As I said at the beginning, you hadn't shared that story before. We'd only met briefly. You had a podcast at the time, which is on a long break as well.
It's pretty much
Finished.
it's finished now. let's say it's finished. Yeah, it's I'm on a different season of my life, and yeah, it's I'm still processing the news that I'm not the #1
episode anymore.
So I have a special story for you guys.
I'm back on the mat.
We're gonna do something, right?
We're gonna do something right now. No, I was gonna add as well. We were talking about the local hospitals, right? And it's something when I talk to people, I talk about healthcare, not a lot, but it's something that is really important. And when you live overseas, you appreciate healthcare more. And people say, "What's the healthcare like in Vietnam?" And I'll say it's excellent. But because I have insurance and I feel very privileged that when I go for healthcare checks or when I go to the doctors, I tell people back in the UK, which I just heard on the news today, the average wait for a doctor's appointment in the UK is 2 to 4 weeks.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
When I need a doctor's appointment here, it's 2 to 4 hours.
Yeah.
Literally. And so I do explain to people, I do feel very privileged.
Yeah.
I'm aware of that, and I'm aware that there's many Vietnamese people and VQ people who don't have insurance and do have to use the government hospitals, which are unfortunately not at the same standard.
It's not,
My only story, though, of using a government hospital was I was in Hoi An last year.
Yeah.
And I wasn't drunk. I promise I wasn't drunk. I slipped and fell and cut my elbow open and I had to go get stitches. And we showed up at the Hoi An hospital, me and a friend who thankfully was a doctor.
Mm-hmm.
But she didn't have the equipment to do stitches, even though she could do them. We could not find any doctor, nurse, staff member. It was a Sunday morning in the government hospital.
Yeah.
And we're just walking about trying to find anyone. And we find patients who are like lying out on couches and on benches. And they're looking at us like, why are these two foreigners walking about here? And we're about to give up. And then somebody shouts us and we go over. And through limited language, I get ushered into like a room. And I don't know if it's a doctor or whoever he is. Somebody comes to do the stitches because I need like, I think it was 3 or 4 stitches, not a lot. But
how drunk were you?
I wasn't drunk at all. I said I was really, really drunk.
Yeah.
And so thankfully though, right, so my doctor friend was there and she, what a weirdo you are, Anya. She wanted to watch because she doesn't get grossed out by things like that. Like I couldn't even look at the blood on my elbow because I get like, I would vomit at things like that. But she's like, no, I'll watch. Thankfully she watched it and she was like, he was really good.
Yeah.
She's like, I know what it's like to give stitches. I've watched people do stitches. He was amazing. And everything was clean. So even though we were in this room, it looked like something from a Saw movie. Yeah. Like I got videos of it. It literally was me on this metal bed. You looked like I was about to be killed, basically. But she was like, no, everything he did, he unwrapped it. It was clean. The stitches were great. And so that's I'm saying, even though this setting might not be ideal, you got the treatment you needed.
Yeah, definitely.
It wasn't comfortable like the doctor told you.
Yeah, I'm forever gonna make fun of how it looks, but the treatment and the fact that I'm alive today is probably what I needed too. It's like a little bit more comfort would have been nice, a little bit more air conditioning would have been nice, but like I remember the Tue-Si hospital doctor was excellent in the way that he was seeing things and he was explaining things to me, and the way that I the basic care that I received, which is like what you need. The comfort level of the hospital is not on it's not their responsibility. And I've heard some Vietnamese people told me that they keep it to that level of standard in comfort. So like rich people don't come too often, or they get insurance or things like this. It was like, it didn't make any sense for me, but there was a funny story. There was an old man lying across the hospital from the room from me, and at some point, because nobody can sleep, like you have lights 24/7, and when a fan goes like this and it just keeps on like,
that would kill me personally because I'm a really light sleeper. Like I need a face mask, I need silence, or I would just not sleep.
Yeah, and I couldn't sleep. I had fever, and then I had shivers, and it was just like this old man comes, the doctor comes, is like, oh, how do you feel today, sir? He's like, oh, I can't sleep. And he was like, you don't come to the hospital to sleep, you come to heal. And I'm like, well,
that's part of healing. Sleep. That's when you heal, is when you sleep, right?
Let me call Andrew Huberman. So I was like, it made me laugh. But so no, I'm very happy that being outside of the system in itself, not having insurance, being in Vietnam was still an excellent choice for me, because it allowed me to have access to things that I couldn't have had. Like if I got this infection, if I got checked in Canada and I had this infection or this allergic reaction, without insurance, I would have been dead today. Because like one day at the hospital in Canada is I know that whatever I received in Vietnam and whatever I'm still receiving here in Vietnam has been life-saving in a way, and in terms of like, so I'm very happy.
Awesome. But get insurance.
I did get an insurance right after.
Good job.
That I canceled last month.
Now, you mentioned just briefly about the Iceman and the ice bath.
Yeah.
Just briefly tell me, what was that? Because I saw that on social media. Why did you do that? What did you do? And I saw at the end of it, you spent something like $200 on bags of ice.
$200 on bag of ice. No, it was much cheaper. Let me redo the calculation. First, the whys. So in the whole recovery thing, like I realized down the road that I'm a pretty extreme person in the way that I seek pleasure, and that what got me into crystal meth addiction, and how the experience that I need to receive needs to have a little bit of like intensity within it, even though I'm trying to escape through pleasure and things like this. If I have a micro dose of like something intense per day, I feel like that's what stabilized me in terms of like whatever is happening in my brain, and that went into. And for example, like at the very beginning, I would sit and try to meditate like an hour in the morning, an hour at night. I did that for a year. That was pretty intense. Like the stillness was pretty intense, and
I can't do it for 1 minute. Meditation. I know it's a skill and you can learn how to do it. I've tried it in the past, and my brain is just like this. One day I'll do it.
One day, yeah. you try, like, but like I needed those, and so also like the core thing that I was like that I'm still working on is my fear of abandonment. I have this big trauma of like abandonment, and the constant curiosity about how to improve myself or how to do something good for myself is a way to remind myself that I'm showing up for myself. And if I'm showing up for myself daily, then nobody else can abandon me if not me. So that was the practice. And so I'm always like seeking out new experiences, healthy ones at this point, and new practices that I can give, that I can, put in my daily routine that will help me with that. And ice bath last year was like something that was just enough intensity and pain for 5 minutes that would give me like a kick for the whole day. And because for the past years, and I still do it almost every morning, is I do 10 minutes of breath work, which is like intense breathing that gives you a mini high, and you spin a little bit, and that feeling of like the tingling in your body. When I have this a little bit every day, that's the mini high that cancels the big high that I'm chasing after a while. So I think that's what it was. And then I've done it for a month. Then I did it like every 2 days. Then I went to the hospital.
Would you have the ice delivered every day?
Yeah, so I had so at the beginning I went to Family Mart and things like this, and I would have like 8 bags of ice, and then like the water gets colder and colder as you do it every day. So then it's 6 bags and stuff like that. And then I found an ice dealer. And that's the whole joke that we made. Yeah, that's the whole joke we made for that interview. Was like I had an ice dealer, and I would just call him and be like, "Hey, bring me 50 kilograms of ice." And I was like, "Yeah, darling." And then he would bring those 2 big ice by, and I would put one in a ice box, and then I would use one the next morning. And 25 kilos of ice in a little tub is just like, it's just nice. And then like to be able to sit there for 5 minutes. First, again, I think it was just that 1 month of ice bath happened like maybe 1 month after the bad news, 1 month before the really bad news, 2 months before the hospital. And so it was just like, I think that was preparing my resilience for this shit that is happening. Cause I'm now sitting in lying in this hospital bed, and I'm like, it's nothing against 5 minutes in an ice bath is really bad.
You were doing daily updates of you in your ice bath. Where were the daily updates from you on your hospital bed?
I was like, I don't think my girlfriend would have appreciated. And then I know, yeah, it was really bad. I didn't know if I was going to live, so I didn't want to.
That would have been interesting to watch. No, I'm kidding on. No, yeah. I listened to, obviously, I used to live in New Zealand. I still listen to New Zealand radio. And one of the DJs I listened to, he was doing like cold showers every morning, which would, in New Zealand, was almost the equivalent of an ice bath, because it was a similar concept. He'd blast himself with cold water, wake up. And it was quite funny. As they got into winter, he's like, I can't do it anymore. It's too cold. And I was like, I couldn't even do a cold shower in Vietnam if I wanted to, because even at its coldest, the water comes out
warm.
like lukewarm.
Yeah.
No such thing as blasting yourself. You literally need to have an ice dealer.
Yeah, an ice dealer. Yeah. Which is perfect. And the ice dealer was, just for people that are wondering, not the Bolivian one, but I stopped because my ice dealer doesn't deliver to my new building, and I've been too busy finding another one, and it's because it's a whole logistic. Because 25 kilos of ice from point of departure becomes 20 kilo when you gets to your apartment, so they have to, math the thing, and then so they only delivers at 10 a.m. for restaurants, for example, and if you're not within that window, impossible. But that was like, I think
who knew about ice logistics?
Yeah,
well,
man.
Restaurant owners probably. They're like, this is.
It was a 50K per kilo, man. No, 50K per 25. So there's 100K. So 50K for one bath. It's like a $2. It's like cheaper than a coffee. It's like literally like 2 coffees in Vietnam, because coffee is really cheap here. But like literally, and that gives you that wakes you up, that gives you a kick, that teaches you resilience, and that allows you to, because it's hard, it never gets easy. And then so the fact that you sit yourself for 5 minutes and you go up the mountain, and then you get there, and then you just come out, you're like, yeah, I showed up for myself, and I told my body don't, and so that was really nice. And it's still there on my little life system, where there's a check for ice bath, and it hasn't been checked in the past 6 months, and I'm so mad at myself. And my girlfriend would be like, let's go buy her some ice. Let's go buy some ice. And I was like, what type of ice? Are you down for it?
Now, I have a controversial question for you, right?
Go ahead.
You've mentioned this word a few times.
Yeah.
And I find that this word lately, especially in the last 6 to 12 months, is so overused, and I can't turn on the TV, I can't listen to a podcast, I can't hear anything without this word being mentioned.
Yeah.
And it's trauma.
Trauma, yeah. Yeah. Life.
What do you think, like, is it
Yeah.
become a buzzword? Are too many people using it? Like, I'm not denigrating
Yeah,
what
yeah,
you're
yeah.
saying.
Are you?
Yeah, I'm not, I'm not accusing you of not having
for
trauma,
sure,
but
for sure.
I sometimes hear people talk about, like, oh, this trauma I went through, and I'm like, I mean, I could probably say I had a traumatic childhood. My parents went through divorce, right?
Yeah.
Everybody did. So you're kind of like, we've all lived through trauma. Like, I don't know anybody who didn't live through some sort of traumatic event.
For sure, yeah.
So again, maybe we're the same age. I don't know if maybe I'm just getting older and I'm looking at the younger people and I'm like, stop saying you lived through trauma, because we've all lived through trauma.
Yeah.
You fucking Gen Zers. Not that you're Gen Z.
Don't be so. Yeah, no, I. So within what you explain, yeah. So definitely the word trauma has been overused, is being overused. Just like the word addiction. Really, people use the word addict. I'm an addict. I was like,
because they need to have a trauma. That's why I feel like everybody these days needs to have some sort of trauma.
I think it's like you. It's one of those words, and then very honestly, you can use the same technique for any big words. Like people talk about love, like it's something because love, and then you ask them, but what is love? And they're like, and then the same thing is like if someone use the word trauma, it's like, so what is trauma for you? And then you'll probably know if they're using it as a cover or as a blank statement, or they're actually connecting the word trauma to something that actually happened. And I to not denigrate anyone that has actually defined trauma, because it takes a lot of courage to define your traumas. And then if you just use, I have traumas, and you don't take the courage to go and define them and look at them in the face and be like, this is the problem, then you're just like playing the victim card, I feel. And I don't want to bash on anyone that has taken that step of bravery and courage to go like, oh, I'm gonna go and fucking go in there and be like, oh, it's because it's so yeah. I definitely think that there is an overuse of it.
That's my old man rant for the episode. Yeah. Sometimes I know I'm getting older when I'm like saying things like that, and I'm like,
get over it, young kid.
Basically, I'm like, So tell us more about where are you now? You've mentioned in the beginning you're the COO of a company.
Yeah.
You're obviously still recovering or recovered. I mean, I guess you're, as I understand from addiction, you're always an addict.
You're always an addict. That's the phrasing. So I'm also. I've been taught this, and it made sense at some point in my life, because everything just makes sense at a certain seasons of your life, so in some settings where I'm talking about addiction, I will say I'm always an addict, because this is me paying respect to the system of addiction. But in the current life that I'm having right now, I do not want my identity, my main identity, the main hat that I'm wearing now, to be the addict hat. I think I've used it, I've overused it, and I've made a name for myself on that. And I'm always ready to and open, like, to be vulnerable about it, talk about it. But my 2 years of addiction doesn't weigh on like fucking like Johnny Depp's addiction, or people that are actually still, after 10 years, still in the thick of it. And so I don't want to be known as the crystal meth guy, like it's a badge of honor or anything like this. Like, I would be here to help. I'm here compassionately to talk about my experience. But 2 years of addiction is 2 years of addiction. There is more to that. So right now in 2024, my main identity is more the taking responsibility and getting back into society in that sense, where, like, so I'm business partner in a digital marketing agency called Tech One. If you need any type of SEO marketing, we're more than welcome. SEO marketing for e-commerce, we're here for you. And since I'm the COO, what happened is I've specialized myself in life system to get out of addiction. And I realized that life systems, business systems, and all systems, operation and stuff like that, everything is related. It's all a rhythm. It's all, like, ask yourself the right questions at the right time, and you'll get the right answer, and then you create the right execution and tasks for those things, and things should just flow. So far, after 2 years, things have been working out very, very well.
So anyone listening who is battling with addiction, what would be your piece of advice to them?
Fine. It's been a while. My piece of advice, it depends. It depends on it. Each drug addict is on its own journey. I think it's really starting with the proper support system. I think that's it's a hard question. I do not know actually what I can give as a piece of advice is when you're at rock bottom as a drug addict, you'll know because as I explained it, there is that choice that you have to make. And when you're ready to look up, then I have plenty of advices at that point. But I was unhelpable, unadvisable until I was willing to receive help. And that's part of the 12 steps. And so I have plenty of advices that for the people that already humbled themselves, saw that their ego was the main problem and decided to not die, but to give death to their ego in that sense, and then look up and being like, I need help. I need the help. And then at that point, then surround yourself with the right environment and the right people, not the people that give you the advice. That advice always made me laugh in retrospect now. It's just like, you should just stop. Just stop then. Just say no.
Just get a nice bath.
Just say no. It's so easy. And
Yeah.
they're like fully ridden of their own set of bad habits and things. Just say no. And just anyway, and it's just like, but it's most people that are, you don't need advisor around you. When we talk about support system, it's people that are willing to listen and not shame you for how childish, immature, trauma ridden, and broken and unlogical you might sound, but people that would be able to like sit through the pain with you, and because there's always something that you're trying to say, and then when you're done saying it, they just go, "Ah, fuck it, that's pretty deep, man. That's it," and they just move on with it. And then when they get to that side, when you get to that person in your life, you will give them usually the power to also call you bullshit. And that's because you need to be listened before you need to be taught something. It's just like, oh, you've listened to me, I've given you that trust. Now if I act like a kid, then you can tell me. And I think it's important to have that. And then also, like, you will relapse and it's okay. You will have your weak moments and you will fall again, but the more you learn that cycle and the more you build the right habits for you, that's what I would advise.
Well, credit to you for where you are now on your journey. Thank you so much for sharing the story the first time.
Yeah.
Sharing it again as well. It takes a lot of bravery, and I do really appreciate that. I remember when you came on the first time, it took a lot for you to share that, and it was the first time that you'd shared that.
Yeah, I shared it a little bit in my own podcast, but like with you, it was like the perfect time in 2022 where I was, that's it. It was like 2 years that I was kind of out of this, and I could finally put words, like, spoken words to the experience that I was having. And even that now it's a little bit different because it only matures in that sense. But yeah, that time it was the first time that someone was interviewing me, and I put it on the internet. And that's why that a lot of people wanted to know that side of the story. And again, like, the drug addict Tue-Si is not someone that we should. There is so many things that I'm still asking for forgiveness. I'm saying, like, I don't want to beauty whoever was Tue-Si back in 2017, 2018. There is like, I've hurt people. I've deeply hurt people. I've deeply used people, and I've deeply used myself, and I deeply unloved myself. And so there was a lot of work that I needed to do, and I'm still doing of forgiveness and self-forgiveness. And so I think that's where the more serious Tue-Si comes out. It's just like, I don't want to forget about that time. And I still have a lot of apologies to do. Like, there is some people that I've deeply hurt.
Well done. And it's good that you are still working on it, and you absolutely credit to you. So
thank you, Neil.
Thank you very much for coming on season 10
of the
man. Vietnam podcast, which is incredible. We'd stopped for a long time, and I decided to come back. I wrote down a list of previous guests, and obviously your name was up the top of that list.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for listening to this episode. Thank you to Tue-Si for coming on. Remember,
pleasure.
subscribe, follow, do all that good stuff. The best thing you can do is share this episode with somebody else so we can help grow the podcast as well.
Yeah.
And thank you very much.
Thank you.
Cheers. I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you're like me, you may use your laptop at places where you have to use public Wi-Fi. This opens you up to digital snoopers. It's a massive problem. It can be your internet service provider, or you know who, looking at what you do online, or a cyber criminal trying to steal your bank passwords or credit card info, or even a hacker at the next table trying to steal your sensitive data. These days, it is vital that you keep your data safe. NordVPN keeps all of these snoopers away. It makes your internet activity private, protects you from accessing dangerous websites that are phishing for your data, and lets you enjoy your favorite content securely, even while away from home. And it's easy to use, even I could use it. I've actually been using NordVPN for years now here in Vietnam, and I'm excited to be an affiliate partner with them. I've used NordVPN to watch Netflix, BBC, Disney Plus with ease. And I also know that my information and data are safe from prying eyes, whoever they may be. Join now and you'll get 68% off and 3 months free when you go to my link, nordvpn.com/SMB. Just again, for those hard of hearing, nordvpn.com/SMB. The link is also in the show notes. I know nobody checks them out, but go check that out and you can get the link from wherever you are listening to this podcast. As an affiliate partner, it also means that I will get a small commission when you sign up, but at no extra cost to you. So not only will you be getting a great deal through 7 Million Bikes, you get a great VPN and you'll be supporting 7 Million Bikes podcast. Stay safe online and enjoy the shows you love. Any questions, just let me know. You know how to get in touch with me. And thanks for listening to this show. Cheers.